the Member of Parliament for Saboti Constituency is Amisi, and let's just get into it. He's here. Good morning, Mheshimiwa.
Good morning, and I want to extend my profound apologies for coming late. I'm a little bit under weather, coupled by, among other things, like traffic. I couldn't make it on time. But I'm here. I'll do what I can in the remaining 20 or so minutes. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. Are you all right?
Yeah.
The weather is trying to...
I'm doing well. Yeah, a little coffee here and there, but we'll talk to Wananchi
at some way.
Yes.
We would have, of course, loved it if you were here at 7, but we accept that and we thank you for being here anyway. We want to quickly look at the proverb for today before we get into a conversation. Shall we do that? CT is in the country of Algeria, and he'll share that proverb, and you can tell us what your interpretation
People's
of it.
Democratic Republic.
Oh, I beg your pardon. The
of Algeria.
People's Democratic Republic.
Okay.
They're not plants.
That's people's.
Yes.
The government of the people by the people.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one. Speak kindly or refrain from talking.
That's why it's called people's.
Yes,
I think it's just as clear as it is. If you have something to say, go ahead. If there is vitriol out of your mouth, then shut up.
Very simply so.
Yeah.
Indeed. So, Mheshimiwa, you're here this morning, and of course we are looking at questions and asking, first of all, does the government really care about what's happening in the country, or is all of this a political gimmick? You've been quite vocal, whether you have been speaking to crowds or whether you have sent messages on social media saying certain things about, you know what, we need to be very careful about the direction in which we are going. Many have called you a Renaissance champion in terms of saying Kenya must go in one direction. And here we are with so many things. And I've been saying for the last couple of days that it's actually been weighing on me. And I say there seem to be so many things that are going on at the same time. And we can't seem to chart our path or see the direction in which things are going. You're a member of parliament. You've been vocal. From a lawmaking point of view, what's going on?
Yeah, there is something terribly wrong with the government. Of course, we've had governments before, from Jomo Kenyatta's, Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, now Ruto. I think Ruto has turned out as the worst we've had since independence. That one, it will go down the history, unfortunately. The worst, why? Because nothing seems to be working. There is no legacy attached to this. At least even Jomo Kenyatta had a legacy of post-colonial legacy. But this one, there's no post-colonial, there's no neo-colonial, there's no pre, there's no after posts. So there's nothing to write home about this government. Secondly, the blunders locally and internationally. At the international scene, I don't think Kenya no longer has a name anymore. We've spoilt our diplomatic standing that has been created since for the last 60 years. I don't know any country. You could see the results of the African Union. Basically resembles our Kenyan standing in the international space. Locally, it's lies. And that's why some of us have stood up against all odds. I know my party is working with the government, but I've made it very clear to Baba Raila that I'll not go that route. I've made it to my people that at some point we must have decency to champion a better cause. And in that, I've stuck my neck out. Under, of course, amidst threats. Sometimes when I post something on social media, you'll see calls from my office, sometimes even from NIS, sometimes from... I tell them, my friend, I'm not afraid anymore. I know some people, when they threaten, of course, they want you to stop and start working with the government. But I'm not that kind of a leader. If we all coil our tails, so we will save Kenya.
But Amisi, as we have this discussion, you belong to a house that is independent, the National Assembly, and you talk of the government that lies and calls from high places, and one would beg to ask the question: The National Assembly has been given the powers to oversight. You, as a member of parliament, you are in a position to bring petitions, to summon all these officers to get answers. You're being threatened. You report to the police. You call in the NS boss to give you answers. Why are you not doing that?
Yeah, of course, the petitions questions are there. Parliament does not pass a law because Caleb has brought a petition. Parliament will not call NIS because Caleb has requested so. Parliament as it is now cannot oversight the executive, as it were, by the principles of parliamentary democracy, constitutional democracy. We do not stand in that gap of exercising our oversight right. Why? Because it is predominantly members of the ruling party, and those members of ruling party are not independent in their decision making. They are controlled by the executive. You can have members of the ruling party who dominate in the parliament, but those members sometimes can even advise their president and say, look, things are not going on well. And these ones, they don't. It is instead they get instruction, which is very unfortunate. My colleagues from other side, ODM, they have also fallen prey to this gimmick. So we are left a few independent voices, other than those who are the remnants of Munyoro. Those ones we can't call them independent voices. Those are, I think, it's a result of of being impeached. Otherwise, if their boss was not impeached, they'll not be saying what they are saying. But there are people like us who, and despite what Baba has done, we come out and we tell him. I have told Baba to his face. Sometimes in fact, some of the reason why I was denied to chair Public Accounts Committee, I was told that I'm hitting the government too much. So I asked them, is Public Accounts Committee a ministry in the government? I thought the very purpose why it exists is to hit the government. So for me to be denied to chair a Public Accounts Committee just because I'm hitting the government, it's obscene. It's a convoluted system.
So would one be right to conclude that Parliament, as it sits today, is a toothless dog?
It cannot help Kenyans. Let's put Parliament aside as one of the institutions that we need. Of course, it does its fair share of the democratic work, like passing budget, raising voices where necessary. But when the rubber hits the road, where they are needed to now help Kenyans, they are aligned to their respective political parties, which is very unfortunate.
The Chief Justice Emeritus, David Maraga, close to the end of his tenure, on the basis of non-conformity to the 2/3 gender rule, said that Parliament actually should be abolished. Yeah, essentially, I'm using a little bit more, but should be essentially everybody should be sent home on that basis. One would imagine that from what you're saying now, based on the inability, lack of capacity to get certain things done when it comes to the representation, lawmaking and oversight for Kenyans, that Parliament is not doing his job. On another basis, would you imagine that the same thing should happen for Parliament today, who seems to be operating at the whims of the executive?
Yeah, the Chief Justice was right. He was basically following the law as laid out in the 2010 Constitution, that if Parliament fails to meet the 2/3 gender rule within certain period of time, then it does not stand as a democratic Parliament. That was by the law.
Yes.
But is that practically possible? The law exists, but this law is made for man.
Yeah. So now if we move that to what you're saying, by your own admission, that Parliament, based on that question that Dennis has asked, that Parliament is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Is not.
So we face it out because of the gender rule?
No. Yeah. I was just making I'm making a connection that based on one issue, when it's not doing what it's supposed to do, phase it out. But if now, by your own admission, there are many other things that Parliament is meant to do, is not doing, would you then say then the same decision could be taken in terms of what could happen?
That decision of the Chief Justice, it was a legal decision, basically looking at the Constitution as it was passed.
Okay.
But it was not to say now, as a democracy, we do no longer need parliament. It was not on the basis of the functions of parliament in this broader structure of governance. It was just that the parliament as it exists does not have followed the laid out two-gender rule.
Okay.
But remember, as much as we have law, if we happen to say that Kenya is supposed to have, Kenya as a country, as a state, must have at least 100 million Kenyans. So should we abolish Kenya because it has so many people have died and we cannot have 100 million Kenyans?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. The reason why you parliamentarians have the power to amend, you have the power to legislate, you have that power. When you are talking about a principle, I do not think, now this is a layman speaking, that Maraga said the principle and the parliament as a constitutional body should be abolished. No, he was saying this particular gathering that we're referring to as parliament have not met that threshold that the law requires. Okay? How many times, not in this country, have we seen, no, we actually have at some point earlier on in our history, has parliament been dissolved? Can parliament be dissolved? Amisi? It can.
Yeah, it can. But what I'm saying that sometimes when a decision is made, you look at the broader interests of the nation. Yes, in fact, some of the principles of the court decisions is based on the interests of the nation. At that particular time, you dissolve a parliament, you have no money to take all these 290 constituency by-elections. There are things that we call national interests. You don't just say, now, this is the law, follow it. It's about national interest. At this point in time, as we are now.
You're being selective as to the application of the law.
No. There are so many things that, like now, we are supposed to have a by-elections. That is by law. Somebody died in the office, somebody was promoted to an higher office, and a by-election was occasioned. Almost 5 by-elections we've not had. So can you say now Parliament has less 290 people? Can we abolish Parliament because it has not reached 290 members of Parliament? No, there is no IBC. But the law is there. Yes. The decision was made. So there are some things that we are called, as we speak now, Parliament, in fact, it is not completely composed as the law says.
True. But is it not also clear, patently clear, that the decision of how we elect new members is not determined by Parliament? Not really.
But the IBC, once the Speaker has already communicated to the IBC is not there. The Parliament cannot conduct a by-election. It is the responsibility of the IBC.
You know, I was heading in your direction, but you've taken me back to my direction. So let me stick to my lane.
Yes.
Are you not, as Parliament, in a position to amend laws so that you cater for this little anomaly that you're speaking of? Where, because the Constitution talks about a certain timeline within which certain things must happen, does it not?
So we cannot amend law to allow a by-election to take place after 1 year. You know, what kind of decision is that? Just because there was a by-election yesterday, laws are amended for a reason. You don't make law in vain. You make law for a reason.
Thank you.
Just because there's a by-election, you can't come jump into Constitution and say, let's now amend this one to fit this one. You can't.
I agree with you 100%. So when the Chief Justice proclaims and says, you fellows are in violation of this Constitution, which you just can't amend willy-nilly, we just can't say it is the law, but the practicality. Does the law really give you that leeway? You are told this is the law, and you say, no, excuse me. The interpretation then is taken to court, is it not? Yeah. And that's where it had gone. And then the court spoke. But let's discuss other things.
No, we need to also agree that the Constitution has a lot of lacuna. And of course, we borrowed from other jurisdictions, and that's why we are trying to fit into our society setup. So it may not be a perfect document, and that's why some of these things that you talk about, amendment of law, they need a referendum. They don't just need 2,000 members to pass.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they need a referendum, and of course, the process of referendum, you all know. And of course, without an IBC, there is no referendum.
Okay.
And I think as well, when you talk about The roles of a member of parliament are three: legislation, representation, and oversight. Yourself here is saying you are unable to do that which the constitution tells you to do. Then why should we have a body that fails to respect the constitution in terms of the roles that it has been given? But that aside, you also speak in terms of failure to oversight. So who oversights the government if you cannot?
Yeah, that's why I said, as we are now, the government is not being... we are not overseeing the government accordingly. Yes, that one I have said, and I put it on record that Parliament as it is now
has failed.
It does not have the capacity to oversight the government, as it were, democratically speaking. Why? Because of too much leaning towards the executive position by members who are elected on the regime party, as well as members from opposition, who are too vocal in support of the same regime.
Yeah, and why is that? We saw a broad-based government essentially come into play a few months ago. We see that individuals who you would normally be on the same side as have been, touting and, been celebrating this move. Again, this is where we saw the space that you play in, where you said absolutely not. Is this government that has supposedly come together, is it going to have staying power?
I don't think the government will have. In fact, they are living on borrowed time, because the wrath of citizens out there is waiting for Ruto and his henchmen, including Raila Odinga. I'm sorry, he's my party leader, but if we continue supporting Ruto, they are going to be combined together. They'll go home together by force. If anything like Gen Z comes now, that what it happens in June 2025. Now, there's no any other Raila out there to save Ruto, because they say now you are together. You'll have to go home. There's nobody who will now help him to stabilize the government. So it is not about who joins Ruto. If you join, even if Gachagua joins Ruto, today, they will go home together.
So one of the issues that has been hot over the last couple of weeks has been this whole issue of the road maintenance levy fund, whether we should have NGCDF, whether members of parliament should control it or stick to their role of legislation, oversight and representation. Don't be dealing with these things of money. We don't need you there. Your party leader has also come out to say, actually, you know what? Even this money that we're talking about, let it remain at the counties. Let the governors handle that. What is your position on this? My
position is that so far, as a person who has done, in fact, I'm elected twice, courtesy of my good work in CDF, purely because it is not on party. Where I come from, ODM is not predominantly the party. It's not on tribe. Where I come from, my tribe, Maragoli, are hardly 100. And I've been elected by Bukusus and the Sabots. Irrespective of the UDA, they left their UDA. They said only Caleb out of UDA. The rest UDA. On this other side, the DAP and the 40 Kenya, they said only Caleb. Why? Not because I'm a big bodied, I'm a small man who is no standing in the society. But just because.
True. By the time you're elected once, you're standing twice, you have a lot of standing.
I wanted you to say it. I can't blow my own trumpet. How can I blow my own trumpet? Yeah? That's why you are here.
That's why I'm here.
Yes.
Asante.
Yeah, so you can see these are reasons why, because of managerial skills that I portrayed. No, see, some of these funds, it gives a leader managerial, to showcase your financial managerial prowess. And I think it can be escalated down to the MCA. No problem. To me, it's not about a matter of devolving or who denies who these funds. It is the matter of are the funds in the right position, in the right management hand. It can go to governor, but look at what governors are doing.
No.
So they are squandered in everything. So it can remain at the ministry, but look at what the ministries are doing. So let it go even to the sub chief. No problem. It will get somebody who is very good.
But Amisi, I don't know where some Kenyans live or what it is has happened in their constituencies. I have seen what CDF has done.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
So it doesn't matter. If we need to change the law, change it. CDF has played a very crucial role in development. In the absence of CDF, we would not have been able to understand the county government as we do. My point and yours are the same. given how the Auditor General reveals to us the mismanagement of county funds, and then you give them more money? Out of the question.
I asked the question to Caleb.
In my constituency, everything is written commissioned by Caleb Amisi.
Okay.
There is nothing written commissioned by Natembe or of Patrick Simiyu.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Caleb.
Completely nothing.
In the implementation.
Out of 9 billion. And mine is 150 million.
Okay, Caleb, you have done a great job with the CDF, as you say. And with regard to that, one would beg the question, who oversights the job that you do at the county? Because that is where rubber meets the road.
The oversight is supposed to be by the MCA, the county assembly.
But MCAs are supposed to oversight the county government. Who oversights Caleb Amisi on
CDF,
the implementation
the
and spending of CDF
different.
fund?
Let me now explain to you. Let me educate you.
Yes.
The CDF is a bit, in fact, the member of parliament is just a patron of the CDF. I don't know whether they can have somebody oversight in a patron. A patron basically means you are not the AIE holder, you are not the project manager, you don't develop proposals. It is developed by the fund manager, who is an employee of the treasury, coordinated by the national NGCDF board. He's actually employed by board, and the board is an appendage of the treasury. Now, when the members of parliament, the prowess comes in, when you are able to come in as an I find the member of parliament is an oversight to CDF, basically. That this one is don't do right. The Wananchi want this. Can you put this in your proposal to help these people? This is where our support and our input comes in.
Yeah.
So you cannot say a person who is now trying to patron, you are also telling them they need to have somebody to patron him again. It's not possible. But for the county, really, they make the budget.
Yeah.
They decide where do we take this money. As I don't decide, I have no obligation to say this money can go to this. No. It is by, and it has. In fact, CDF has the lowest administrative cost. The lowest.
5%?
2 or 5% thereabout. The lowest.
So, I mean, look, our time is running out, and this is why it would have been great to have you for even longer, but we must ask the question. Monday evening, yesterday, 7 people died at the hands of security agents and over a land grabbing issue. You made a statement about that as well.
Yeah.
Where are we if we still have innocent people being killed in this manner by security forces in the country?
Yeah, I will say the costs are growing. The costs to this nation are growing day by day. When you see innocent Maasais who are just grazing their land being sprayed with bullets by police officers who are supposed to protect. The government exists to protect the citizens. There are laws. I don't think even 1,000 people can fail to arrest them if they are gone against breaking the law. Shooting people has become like a hobby by police officers and other people, gun carrying Kenyans. It must stop. This is insane because we are normalizing killing of citizens. We are making it something normal. In fact, by next year we'll have forgotten.
Sadly,
they are going to make noise in funerals. In fact, the people who are going to make more noise are those people in the government. They are going to tell you how they are going to arrest these officers. They are even going to say their names. They are even going to say how they could even arrest them, by the way. But then they are released the following day. Yeah. So this is not a government. In fact, in other jurisdiction, Murkomen could have resigned. Not even the police officers or the DIG. Murkomen, the head of internal security, he could have said, I cannot stand as a CS
and allow this to happen.
With this respect, I step down.
I hear you.
He can't step down. Maybe in his dreams. But we must bring this to an end.
Absolutely.
We cannot normalize killing of Kenyans, innocent Kenyans, like chicken on the streets.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Caleb Amisi is the Member of Parliament for Saboti Constituency. A short conversation, but some nuggets come out of it. So thank you so much for being here this morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.